What's good, y'all, and welcome to the most extensive and comprehensive Guild Wars 2 tier list you are going to be able to find on YouTube, and that's a promise. Before you watch this video, make sure that you know the basics of the Guild Wars 2, either by playing it yourself or watching the video I'll link somewhere there, and then come back, because the rules of the fight are going to be very important in understanding why certain heroes are ranked in a certain way. Furthermore, we'll have timestamps as usual in the description. I do recommend watching it fully once and then just hopping to the points that interest you, but if you're already familiar with the fight, you can also just hop to different points. So, we'll be going into 6 different tier lists. Those are going to be a lore tier list, a survivability tier list, a phase 1, a phase 2 and a phase 3 tier list, as well as lastly a damage increase / damage dealer tier list. Because those are all needed to accurately rank all the heroes for this very complex fight. So now that we're all well prepared, let's get straight into the very first tier list, which is going to be the Lord tier list. So the reason why Lords are so important for this fight is because we're playing 10 units. And if we're playing 10 units, we also need Lords on the field. Which means we mainly rank them by either capability in helping with the other phases, or in general damage capabilities. And then we have Lunaria. So Lunaria will get a solid B. The reason why she gets a solid B is because the units out of her faction, Sealers and Hex, you'll see in the later parts of this video, are quite good. And in general, she as a hero just grants a rather decent boost. Furthermore, that's pretty much it. She's C tier. Then we have Araka. Araka is going to be A tier, because she's basically a stepped up Lunaria for the same reasons, though also she is a ground unit. And what you're going to notice in this fight is that it's somewhat more geared towards platform units, which means your platforms are going to be a bit crowded, which makes being a ground unit a plus point. So there we go with Araka on A, mainly for her Lord bonus, not necessarily for her damage. Then we have Iowa. Iowa is a straight up S tier Lord. Really good damage, relevant Lord buff, and that's about all he needs. Really good damage and a relevant Lord buff. Raiden, on the other hand, is going to be straight C tier. AoE damage, not needed, platform unit, and rather weak-ish Lord bonus. Then we have Venoma. Venoma is going to be B tier, kind of the same issues as a Raiden, but a stronger Lord bonus. Cyrus is going to go into A tier, because not only is he a platform unit, but also a tank, as well as having a rather useful-ish Lord bonus. So he's gonna be able to perform as a tank for your fight. Then we got Aeon. Aeon, weak stats, weak damage, weak faction, platform unit. That's all that needs to be said about her. Abizu, better damage, sadly AoE, generally weak faction, yeah, platform unit. Morrigan, stronger Lord bonus, I guess bit better damage, still AoE, weaker faction, and that's what puts her into B tier. Then we got Ein, platform unit, penetration increase, one of the stronger factions. Yeah, I know, Watcher faction is actually considered one of the stronger factions for this fight. You'll definitely see it later down the line. Why? And yeah, that's about it. Rather nice buffs, alright Lord bonus, platform ground unit, and even some rather alright-ish usability in phase 1. Leia, rage bonus, platform unit, healer, Watcher faction booster, damage booster through ultimate. So Leia is an S tier rank Lord for this fight. Then we have Pyros. Depending on if you have Zilla 2. If you have Zilla 2, Pyros is A rank. If you don't have Zilla 2, Pyros is B rank. So let's assume you have a Zilla 2, which makes Pyros a A-rank Lord because of basically the ability to ground penetration increase to allies, and that he does rather decent-ish damage and mainly enabled Zilla 2, which puts him in A rank. Twin Fiend is going to be a straight up S rank Lord, and the reason for that is boost Zillitu, has penetration and crit damage increase on ultimate, stuns during ultimate, which is really important for phase 1, and overall has a shorter ultimate than a Pyros, so he's also going to be able to trigger it more times. Soul Kiddens, I would put Soul Kiddens at the very top when it comes to A, because of him missing that added... He's basically missing the added stuns that a Twin Fiend has, but I guess you could put him low S or A rank for this fight. Then we got Isolde. Isolde is going to be a solid A rank because she's a tank, she can provide damage reduction to allies, she can shield herself, and she works, she's a lot for a really good faction for this fight, because this fight really has to do a lot with survivability, because we also have a whole survivability tier list, which makes Isolde a solid A rank Lord. Rock is kind of the same thing, same bonus, nice talent that provides shields to allies instead of, for example, damage reduction. He is a fighter, but you are going to build him with HP, so he can also tank. And again, nice faction. King Horus. Nice faction, tank, legendary Lord bonus, provides freezes, provides shields. Probably at more towards the end of A rank when it comes to Lords. Elder. Honestly, I would judge Elder as more of an offensive King Horus, but if you're running Elder, you need to make sure that you're running another tank that is going to try to tank in his stead, or you build Elder more towards damage. So basically, King Horus and Elder are kind of two sides of the same coin. King Horus being more of the survivability help out, and Elder being more of the gearing Northerners towards damage kind of Lord. But all of them solid faction, with the Northerner faction being quite popular here. Wrath. Wrath has to get an A rank, probably even in front of Isolde, because the Nightmare faction is going to be quite good for this fight, and overall he has decent damage, but on another note, he is rather squishy and his damage numbers aren't going to be all that crazy, though he will perform better if you do get his exclusive artifact, which gives him penetration. Toreador. Toreador is going to be an S tier Lord easily, because he provides knock up, which is basically a mechanic that also works on phase 1 in weakening the chainsaw attack. He provides the strongest bonus, obviously legendary Lord bonus, for one of the strongest factions for this fight, which is going to be the Nightmare faction. And he's a tank, so he can tank. That's pretty much it. So the reason why we're talking about tanks is so important is because there's this attack called the Steel Fist. And what the Steel Fist does is the boss hits the ground, does AoE damage to everyone, and then on the highest health enemy, a really big single target hit. And that hit is only going to get bigger and bigger the longer the fight becomes. Which is why having a tank, as well as basically you need to use Lords and you need to bring a tank. And then bringing a Lord that is also a tank, that then also provides defense reduction, is just a really, really good all-in-one package. Which puts Toreador at S rank, potentially even God tier, but I would say high S. Then we got Vladov. Honestly, Vladov, popular faction in the chaotic faction, but overall himself not all that strong, and the bonus isn't all that crazy, which rather puts him down into B rank. He also isn't a tank, nor does he provide any really valuable debuffs, besides maybe bleed. Garn is also probably going to be an S tier Lord because of, again, him being a tank, him providing damage reduction to allies, and his Lord bonus making the whole chaotic faction overall way tankier, which is really, really crucial for this fight. Then we got Volderon. Volderon hits like a truck, provides again a buff to one of the more popular factions, being the chaotic faction. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The only reason he's up there is because he hits like a fucking truck. Then we got Demi or Demi. Demi is probably gonna go next to Morrigan for the B faction, unpopular faction. The slows don't do anything. Her damage is AoE. And that's about it. She really doesn't work here all that much. And then we got Praetus. Praetus, the Lord for by far the strongest faction in this whole game mode. Ridiculous Lord bonus, ridiculous damage output, ridiculous ultimate, overall fucking ridiculous. Strongest faction, strongest Lord bonus. He's a god. He's a god for this fight. Onto the survivability tier list, because survivability is a very, very crucial aspect in this fight. No matter how much damage you deal, your units need to be able to survive for you to get anywhere near enough mech fragments or second guild boss blood for you to get useful rewards. So no matter how much damage you can do in a minute, you need to hold out longer than that. Which brings us to Vortex. Vortex is a very solid option when it just comes to keeping your people alive, especially with shields, but overall he's nothing too crazy. Then we got S tier, Fercy. Fercy provides AoE damage reduction and heals based on AoE damage taken. All the abilities in the fight are basically geared towards AoE damage, and also he provides inspiration, giving him a very, very solid S rank in keeping people alive. Then we get Ezreal. If you're really desperate and if you feel like you gotta try to keep certain people alive, Ezreal might actually be rather clutch in helping you out. Though, to be honest, I don't necessarily see him as all that valuable. Same goes for Hollow. Even though Hollow provides rage regen, her healing isn't enough to keep 9 people alive consistently. And yeah, she really kind of reaches a breaking point. And then we have Leia. Leia's going to be solid A rank because she has AoE healing and then increased healing during her ultimate. Laurel. So the reason why Laurel is considered survivability is going to become clear in phase 3, or for those in the know. She's really good at helping your cleansing units get their ultimate up for the second time during the 3rd phase. But a big but is the fact that the longer the fight goes on, the more times you cycle her in, the longer her cycling time becomes, which only puts her at a B rank when it comes to helping in survivability. Then we got Elowen. Elowen is god tier when it comes to survivability. She's able to cleanse all 10 units. She has a wood elf for added healing. She has great healing multipliers. And overall, she just heals well. Another god tier unit is going to be Alistar. Now, why would Alistar be god tier? The reason is very simple. He has a talent, or basically a talent that allows him to charge up his basic attack, and if he charges up the basic attack, he applies attack down, or basically damage reduction to the boss. So he reduces the boss's damage by a total of 30%, and that is absolutely massive, and in my opinion really crucial for you to survive longer in this fight. I wouldn't really go into a fight without Alistar if I had the chance to use him. Another god tier unit for the same reason is going to be Volker. Volker has the same added damage reduction that Alistar has. She also provides lifesteal to her allies, and she could even be built as a tank unit because you can pump her HP really high and don't care about her damage all that much. Then we got Isolde. Isolde is solid B rank because you really need to pay attention, trigger her ultimates at the right time to provide the shield to your allies, to provide damage reduction to your allies, but also her Lord bonus with the added Northerner shields counts in as a very solid B rank. Then we got Regulus. Regulus, kind of the same thing where you really need to know when to trigger your ultimate, and you might even over trigger it and kill Regulus in the process, but overall his ability to reduce the damage taken from allies around him can be really useful, and if you're doing it skilled, Regulus might make the difference for you. Then we got kind of the better version of Isolde, which is going to be Brockier. Brockier also tank, provides damage reduction, provides bigger damage reduction in ultimate, and in general is just a tanky bastard. Then we have another S tier unit, technically even god tier unit, which is going to be Eunomia. Eunomia, in the strongest faction for this fight, provides periodic cleanses, ridiculous healing, permanent attack speed increase, really great healing multipliers, heal that bounces, so easy god tier for the survivability in this fight. Then we have another B rank, which is going to be Lily. Lily provides decent chances, kind of like an Ezreal in the sense that she can also stop someone else from dying, but overall doesn't really give much besides just healing. Then we have another survivability unit, which is going to be Midan. Midan just provides decent healing, and at least for this, just the healing part, she doesn't provide all that much healing. Her defense increase is nice, but her rage cap is rather high, so she only provides rather decent healing. Then we got another S tier character, which is going to be Dosomi. We really have it with these guys today. So Dosomi provides invigoration, or better said, inspiration. He provides heals, he provides shields, and he also cleanses, which is going to be only become a factor really for the phase 3 tier list. But he provides rather solid heals, has a great range, can keep a lot of people in there. Though to be fair, I guess if we really have to judge him when it comes to pure survivability, he will probably be able to only enable A rank. Then we got Constance. Constance healing is B rank, and that is only if you place her in a very specific tile, because if you don't, she just hits the boss and doesn't heal. There is one tile though where you can place her, and if you do place her there, she heals the targets in her range, single target healing, and also on a 30-second cooldown provides healing if there is an AoE heal or a bit of AoE damage happening, so kind of like Thirsty, but definitely weaker. Then we have Sadie. Sadie has absolutely crazy damage reduction. She's kind of like your better Regulus, though you also again really need to be able to know when to time her. Then we have Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn on her own, she provides really big shields, but only rather small healing, so you do have to pair her with someone that is rather good at healing. And if you are able to time your ultimates well, if you know the fight good enough, she can definitely help you survive that bit longer. Then we got Nisande. Nisande at the end of the day really just does decent healing. Yes, her attack speed increase is nice, but it's really not that crucial. Yeah, Lightlock, I'm sorry. Then we got King Hearts. King Hearts is just your better version of Isolde, so better Lord bonus, better damage reduction / shields towards allies, a bit of freeze, but honestly nothing too special. And then the better version of Garn, of King Hearts being Garn. Oh, how could I forget about Carnelian? Carnelian is going to be either high A rank or S rank when it comes to survivability, because she legit makes people invulnerable. Especially for making errors or just trying to push on or needing to hold out for the poison stacks until you can cleanse them again. Carnelian is absolutely amazing. She's basically required if you want to play a successful chaotic team. Carnelian overall easy S rank, and the tip is to build her with as much attack speed as humanly possible. And then lastly we have Artemis. Artemis, solid healing when it comes to single target, but its damage is focused towards AoE, which really doesn't matter here all that much. And also anti-healing doesn't play any role here. Alright, on to the very first actual phase of the boss, which is going to be phase 1, and yeah, I'm not ready for some of these picks. I hate to say it, but he's a god. It hurts my soul, but Kratos is a god here. His Lord bonus provides stuns that you can trigger whenever you need to, and that just makes him really disgusting for phase 1. Then we got right here over here our boy. Sadly he's only C tier. He does provide a stun, but that's only once or twice maximum, and that's not really all that crucial. Then we got Abomination. Abomination does decent stuns, can be used as a tank, but it's only a 15% chance, so you really have to build him with high attack speed and then hope for a bit of luck for his basic attack to turn into a charged attack. Also, it does require the A1. Then we got I does a solid job actually freezing the boss, The boss has a huge hitbox, so if you face her the right way, she's going to be constantly able to hit the boss. The higher you boost her attack speed, the more freezes she applies, but overall it's nothing too crazy. Then we got Captain Reeve. Captain Reeve does his stunts on his ultimate, is a tank, and honestly that's already about it. Krag is going to stun with his A1, but it's pretty trash. Right here my man also has a stun on his ultimate, but it's pretty trash. Then we got Gluttony. Gluttony only works in the very beginning because you get 3 talent stacks from the A5, then do 1 or 2 stuns and then have a 10% chance to stun. Pretty trash. Then we got Hexed. Hexed has a rather decent-ish chance to stun at around 20% with every card drawn, and he becomes better if you do have his exclusive artifact. Mary is going to be easy S. Let's say A tier. She provides a decent amount of freezes with her ultimate, but it is nothing too spectacular. Same goes for Evelyn. Evelyn is kind of your Captain Reeve. She also provides stuns with her attack. The higher her attack speed, the more stuns she provides. She is again a tank, so you can use her to tank enemy attacks. But she also doesn't provide all that many stuns. Torador, tank, great Lotus bonus, defense reduction, provides more stuns overall, or better said knock-ups, especially during his ultimate, so if you trigger his ultimate when you need to. Then we got Brock here. Brocky barely provides any freezes, he's mainly just on there because he does provide freezes. Then we got Twinfiend. Twinfiend provides a lot of stuns during his ultimate, and his ultimate comes up really quickly, so you might even be able to trigger it during both or even all 3 phases depending on how long you take for phase 1. Nazim, just from the amount of stuns, okay? Just from the amount of stuns alone he does in his ultimate, he's able to do around 12 stuns by himself, which is really crazy. So just from the amount of stuns alone, he would be a god tier unit. And I guess, yeah, we can keep him in god tier for this part of the fight. Then we got Boreas with his freezes, but his freezes do perform a bit worse even than your Anai, though he does have that extra freeze synergy, but his freezes aren't really anything special. Then we got Immerit. Immerit also performs freezes, performs them better than a Mary or your Boreas, but again nothing too amazing. Azor is actually S tier when it comes to providing stuns, and that is going to be in his heated state. He has a 30% going up to 40% chance with his exclusive artifact chance to stun. That sentence sounds weirded. Especially if you give him his exclusive artifact, he has an up to 40% chance to stun with every attack, build him with a lot of attack speed, and you're going to see a lot of stuns. Furthermore, again, he is a tank, so if you got your tank, or basically if you got your Lord rolls already covered, using him as a tank that also helps in phase 1 can be the way to go. Then we got Thelen. Thelen is going to be easy S tier. Thelen provides every stun, basically every basic attack of Thelen after his ultimate stuns. He is out of Praetus' faction, he does true damage. Thelen is easy S tier when it comes to stuns. And then we got Helga. Helga is going to stun a total of 4 times, give or take, on her ultimate, depending on how your attack interval is. But she does provide a decent amount of stuns, and she does a lot of attacks. Works, though honestly her cultist faction, I guess we can place her down here. Alright, on to phase 2. Units that are relevant here do either true damage, ignore defense or magic resistance, or just do a ridiculous ton of damage. Number 1 is going to be Silas. Silas completely ignores any defense or magic resistance, making him, I guess you could say, an S tier unit for this fight. Then we got Nocturne. Nocturne is legit made for this fight with his true damage, especially if you have his exclusive artifact, increasing the amount of true damage or the chance for him to do his true damage. Then we get Kalina, an epic just based on true damage. Only real drawbacks would probably be the fact that she can't crit, which isn't as relevant to true damage, and her base stats as an epic. Then we have our very first God tier unit. Lucius is gonna become God tier for Guild Boss 2. He isn't even out yet, and I already know why. The reason is, in his ultimate he has a chance to dispel buffs. If you've already watched the basics video, or you've played the fight yourself, you know that the boss, every time he does his Earth Shatter attack, actually gains a stack of 10% damage reduction for both damage types, or all damage overall. And Lucius has a 4% chance with every attack in his ultimate to just straight up remove it. Next off we have Micah. Micah has a 50% defense ignore in her ultimate, which means she'll still do solid damage even if the boss continues stacking magic resistances. Then we have Iowa. Iowa has better kit damage than your Micah, but he also has a lesser rank of defense ignore. But overall he still has a nice amount of defense ignore and does rather well. Wrath is going to be B tier, or I guess C tier. The only reason you would put him in B tier is if you have his exclusive artifact, which gives him defense ignore. So C tier without, B tier with. So we just put him into C tier. Then we got Thelen. Thelen is going to do straight up a lot of magic, a lot of true damage. He's also going to do more true damage if he blocks the target, and if he's also going to do more damage the more synergy you have in between him and more Supreme Arbiters. Now, I guess you could have already expected it. Praetus, Arbiter faction, a lot of true damage throughout the soul kit, and his Lord bonus doing a lot of true damage, or even more true damage than a lot of true damage. He's just ridiculous. Now on to our next guy, Alistair. Almost constant application of true damage. Basically your source of Radiant Erosion. The damage reduction, he just does a lot of true damage, and that is really good for this fight, especially because he also works really well against just a single target. Then we got our boy Pelagius over here. Pelagius does a bunch of true damage, consumes Radiant Erosion to do even more true damage, but I would rank him weaker than your Thelen or Praetus or Alistair, because he's mainly AoE-ish focused. Then we have Soul Cadence. Soul Cadence provides penetration increase, which by himself obviously allows him to do well or better on this phase than people without penetration increase. So that's why he's going to be an A rank. Kind of the same thing goes for Twin Fiend. Volderon overall just hits like a truck, and if for whatever reason you happen to have his A3, he also gets defense penetration. But he's just going to be an S rank because of the fact that he hits so fucking hard. Then we got Zillitu. The only reason Zillitu is on here is because she interacts so well with the penetration increase from Twin Fiend and Soul Cadence. So you really need to combine these two into one. So I guess we rather display Twin Fiend as Twin Fiendo Zillitu. Then we got Pyrus. Pyrus basically same reason, but weaker effect. So I guess we could put him into B rank, and that only if you do have a Zillitu. So I guess let's get rid of Pyrus and let's get in Twin Pyros, Zilly Pyros, whatever. Sagak. Sagak, if he attacks or continues to attack the same target, his Blood Spear is going to ignore defense, and that's going to happen over and over again. So rather constant defense ignore. Gives them a very solid A rank. Admiral Claw, passive ignore or passive penetration through his talent. The lower his HP get, the higher penetration. Overall starts to really get into the fight. The longer the fight goes on, the Guild Boss 2 fight is rather long, so get ready for that. And he is going to have enough of a chance to charge up all his stacks and then be ready to slam it home. Kineza. Kineza has decent amount of ignore, but it really relies on her stacking her key stacks, and those do also get lost with time. I guess she's solid-ish. Hex, the only reason Hex is here is because Hex does a ridiculous amount of damage. It's that simple, especially with the strength card and the extra attack. Faixia, Faixia does true damage, she's made for this fight, it's that simple. And we got Lugaru, again, inbuilt defense ignore through his ultimate, or better said, his talent, the lethal strikes. And then we got Deimos. Deimos, I guess you could also put towards the end of the rank. If you do get him to A5, he gets some added defense ignore. Lastly, we have Enid, again, super popular faction, does a lot of true damage himself, but also provides his autonomous ancient cores to his allies that then also proceed to deal true damage. So overall, a lot of instances of true damage, great true damage, and that's Enid for you. On to phase 3, or the poison cleanse phase. It's gonna be really simple. Elowin, full on field cleanse, rage regen, regenerates rage faster than Midan, easy god tier for this part. Eunomia, periodic clear, high healing, bounce healing, easy god tier. The Somi, basically he can cleanse all the people in his range, it's just going to take him a bit longer, but he also provides shields and inspiration. This guy is an absolute fucking joke. He does one target heal, and this guy does 2 targets. These guys are absolute fucktards when it comes to being useful in this fight. I don't even know how they dare to put these guys on there. Yeah, I guess they cleanse. But one guy cleanse, 2 guy cleanse on a 10 guy stage is absolutely useless. And then we got another ST unit, which is going to be Midan. Midan also, if you play a lot of fighters, which you kind of have to if you're using Midan, you're going to be able to clear all 10 units of poison. And the ability to clear everyone of poison is really needed. You're not going to be able to make it through if you do not clear out the poison. Now, I already briefly covered it, but Midan and Edwin both have trouble using their ultimates consecutively because the poison just happens rather fast back to back, as you've probably already seen in the basic video or not, depends. So, you need units to help these units by either keeping the ones alive that are suffering from poison or making them able to get their ultimates faster. So that's when your Hollow comes in. That's when your Leia comes in. The reason why Leia is a bit higher there is just because it's easier for a Leia to help keeping people alive in comparison to Hollow, and Leia's also a Lord. Then we have Carnelian when it gets really dire. If people die of poison, she's going to revive them again, buying precious time for your Elowin, Eunomia, or your cleansers in general. I guess the weaker version is going to be right here. Laurel is going to be alright at actually giving back the ultimates, but Laurel's respawn times are going to get longer and longer the more you use, and she's going to take up a valuable team slot. Then we have Vortex. Vortex again, good healing effect, good healing abilities, nice shields, but he doesn't actually cleanse himself, which means he's not that useful, but he's good at keeping people alive. Lightlock C tier, he just provides mediocre healing. Nisande provides decent bounce healing. Constance provides decent healing. Nice shields from Gwendolyn. And then Percy also provides nice healing, but he sadly doesn't cleanse, though he does make your people more survivable and less vulnerable to AoE attacks. Now on to the very last category, which is going to be damage increasers and damage dealers that just do a crap ton of damage themselves. Number 1 is going to be Ajax. Magic damage is really prominent here. Ajax can work in every faction, and Ajax has his Ancient Blood passive that increases the damage of everyone, and you're going to have the effect on all other 9 units, him included, which technically speaking is a 40% damage increase. Then we have Ein. Ein is going to be able to deal a solid amount of giving penetration increase to allies in front of him, and then in general just your usual vulnerability if you have him at A1, so he just provides a nice amount of vulnerability. Arrogance is kind of one of those units that just hit hard. Arrogance just hits hard, and the more awakenings you have on him, the more harder he hits. Then we have Dolores. So I don't really see Dolores working above Semrah 1, the 1 difficulty, because she's just too squishy. Dolores is just too squishy and her healing is basically meaningless. So yeah, if you can make her work, if you do have, for example, a Percy in, Alistair in, and you really focus on keeping her alive, you can make her work, but she's just, her base stats aren't good enough, and if you have to sacrifice attack for HP, then that just makes her invigoration or inspiration, yet again, way worse. Then we have Elowin, just super solid overall rage regen. Rage regen makes your units ult more. If your units ult more, they do more damage. Then we have Hex. Hex, especially once you get his exclusive artifact, just starts to deal a crap ton of damage. That's just the way it is. And then the higher his awakenings, the more crap ton of damage he does. Laurel, B rank, yes, she'll be able to allow your units to ult more, but you'll also get diminishing returns because you'll be able to use her less and less and less and less. And every time she's not on the field, you're losing out on another unit permanently providing a buff while they stay on the field constantly. Then we have Mary. Mary, in my opinion, a really solid pick, either A rank or S rank, because she provides permanent magical or permanent physical vulnerability if you build her with high enough attack speed. Then we get Hollow. Hollow also in the same category as Elowin when it comes to just providing straight up rage regen. Silas just provides a ridiculous amount of damage. And then we have Constance. Constance is basically, oh yeah, another issue with Dolores is the fact that she takes off again a range tile. You really do not have all that many range tiles, and the most popular units are ranged. So taking off a range tile is a disadvantage, which means Constance is not only a ground unit, provides heals, but also provides inspiration and has rather tanky stats. So you can go for attack while still not having her die every 0.25 seconds. Lust is again one of those units that just hit hard, kind of like Arrogance. Percy provides decent inspiration or invigoration, but it's honestly not that great. Kind of the same thing goes for the Somi. You also can't really control the Somi's inspiration all that much. Then you have Torador. Torador with this 30% defense down is an absolutely magnificent buff to have. Then you got Iowa. Iowa also does a really good amount of damage, is a nice Lord bonus. He's somewhere around the Hex, Silas area. Then you got Praetus. It just makes sense. Praetus just deals god tier damage. It's just the way it is. Then we have Enid. Enid overall doesn't provide all that much damage, but I also don't know if there is if the damage his allies do through their projectiles is getting counted towards his damage, so he might be doing more than people expect. Then we have Thelen. Thelen also does a lot of damage, does the true damage the way the whole fight through works in all 3 phases. And yeah, he just does true damage. Then we got Micah. Micah is going to clock in somewhere around the A tier. She has her nice magic Resignor, but she's not really going to catch up to your Hexes and your Silases. Then we got Zillitu Twinfiend. Zillitu Twinfiend is going to be able to do a crap ton of damage, especially with the penetration increase. And yeah, that's just it. Then we probably have Alistair. Alistair, if you build him properly, if you have the Soulstone, if you want to give him A1, he really does a lot of damage. Then we got Astrid. Astrid is kind of your weaker Torador, but provides that nice death down with her awakenings. Then we got again Rage Regen from Leia, but also some added damage increase, so we're going to put her a bit more towards the front. And then we just got Helga. Helga just overall does a nice amount of damage. Then we have Valdron. Valdron, he just does a crap ton of damage. It's the way he is. If you start to have him at A3, he does even more ridiculous damage. Furthermore, he is rather tanky himself. And then we got Falchia. Falchia just does nice damage all the fight through. Same goes for Nocturne. The only drawback, I guess you could say, is for Falchia the fact that she's a Northerner, and unless you have Elder, she doesn't really get any offensive buffs. And Nocturne, I guess he becomes better with Awakenings, but overall he just does a solid amount of damage the whole fight through. And that concludes this video. Man, this has been this has been something else to do. Obviously preparing all the pictures, doing all the testing, going into this fight. I hope this video helped you out. If you did appreciate it, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. And I wish you best of luck getting your highest score in Guild Wars 2. Peace.